This is my full review of the Zenfone 7 Pro. You can pick this phone up for around $950. Let's see if it's worth it. So I've used this phone for about 4 days, and I think that's enough time to evaluate everything that I've learned, my experience, etc. First off, the look and feel. This phone looks and feels amazing. Take a look at the back. Very good looking back over here. You know, the design, it's a good design, but the feel, this phone feels heavier than other phones. Like, even for me, the phone feels a bit too heavy and slightly top heavy as well, thanks to our mechanism over here. The sides are made of aluminum, and this is not the glossy type. This is the matte finish type, which feels cheaper than the stainless steel, of course, but it's still metal, so the phone does feel premium overall. We have dual speakers just like last year, and they have been improved drastically. I remember with the Zenfone 6 that the earpiece speaker barely did anything, but now they fixed that. Now we have a decent dual speaker setup. I mean, it's not in the same level as the Note series or Samsung, you know, iPhones, but it's good enough. So as you can see, it gets plenty loud. Quality is fine. It could use a bit more bass, but other than that, you know, it's a decent speaker. We do get an OLED, which is a huge upgrade from the LCD display from last year. And I thought they would add a mid-display fingerprint sensor, but they stuck to the side-mounted ones, which I'm not really a big fan of. I mean, sure, on paper they're supposed to be more convenient, but for me, they cause more problems than they solve. So when you first pick up this phone, as soon as you touch it, even when the phone's locked, it's gonna try and activate. But maybe sometimes you just want to pick up your phone, or maybe sometimes you just want to read messages. You would have to use the wrong finger and then lock it with the wrong finger again. But luckily, Asus gives us the option so we can tap and tap again to unlock. But if for some reason you want to unlock right away, you can do it so as soon as you tap it, when the screen is locked, it unlocks the phone. So overall, you know, decent fingerprint sensor. And yes, we do have face unlock. That's the speed, more or less. The unlock speed varies based off of the environments that you're in. So if I were to like put this closer to my face, it unlocked slightly faster. And if you're worried about it breaking, or you're wearing it down prematurely, I mean, don't, unless you're gonna keep this phone for years. Then I would use face unlock as much as you want. So fingerprint sensor is good, face unlock is just cool, and also works quite well. Now I've been getting pretty good battery life. So this is the first day. I got 40 minutes of screen on time when the phone was at 97%. So I thought at first I was gonna get monster-like battery life. This is the first day, 7 hours, which isn't bad considering we're using that 90 Hertz refresh rate. We even have it written over here, 90 Hertz, but I found it annoying, but luckily, as you can see, you can turn it off. Second day of using the phone, I got 5 hours and 13 minutes of screen on time, but with 39% left. So I used the phone less that day. Third day, 5 hours and 11 minutes, 5:50 p.m. And I currently have 3 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time. And that may sound like not that much, but it's because I've been trying the ambient display lately, so as you can see, that drained 4% already. Other than that, I didn't really use the phone much today. It's too bad the always on display, there's no option to like tap to see like on the Samsungs. So as you can see, I locked the phone, it's sitting there. And the main reason this drains so much battery life, so as you can see just now, look at how it jumped from here to here. And I know it's to prevent screen burn-in, but it does it too often, in my opinion. So Asus is being extra cautious nowadays. Now we do have some cool battery features. So as you can see, we have battery care. So first off, we have a slow charging option, which I currently have enabled because you don't need to fast charge your phone every single night. Like, what's the point? It just degrades your battery faster. It also tells you if your charging habits are good or not. If you would have a bad charging habit, then I guess it would show red, needs attention. So that means you suck at charging your phone. So mine is good, so that's good, I guess. You also have here what every phone needs, a charging limit. So this is if you want to keep your phone for many years and you want to preserve your battery as much as possible. You can set it to 90%, 80%. I personally don't use this because I don't really keep phones that long. But for those of you who do, I mean, this is a great feature. Especially if you're not like a hardcore heavy user, then it won't really affect your usage in a negative way. This is a 1080p OLED display and it's a great display, don't get me wrong. I'm just not a fan of the bezels 100%. So as you can see, we have a bit of a bottom bezel over here and a bit of a top bezel. So it doesn't go all the way up to the edges. So as you can see, they could have done some trimming here. Definitely some trimming here. But it's not really a big deal. When you're using the phone, you don't really notice it. And of course, it's way better than having a punch hole or a notch. It's just at this point, after using lots of flagship over the years, I'm just used to slightly thinner bezels, Now, performance as you'd expect. We have the Snapdragon 865 Plus. It can run any game, most of them even at 60 FPS. And performance alone, it's a very snappy phone. Our top model is 8 gigs, and that's more than enough for most people. So if you don't believe me, this is PUBG. And we are running extremely high frame rate. You can't tell on your end, but on my end, it's extremely smooth. I think it's even running at 90 FPS.
Form up on me.
Because it's a zero stutter, running at 60 to 90 FPS. I wouldn't be surprised. PUBG and other games, you're definitely gonna enjoy this. There's no point to do like an extensive test with like 1 million games for hours and hours because we all know that the phone can handle it. We have a pretty decent vibration motor, but by other people's standards it may be cheap because we have no haptic feedback system. It's just a vibration motor. We have vibration patterns, so like if I mute the phone, there'll be like a certain vibration pattern when I do that. But there's no like fancy haptic feedback, but it's not cheap at the same time. In fact, I actually like this vibration motor. Anyway, let's move to the camera. So we have some pretty interesting cameras. This phone is what I would call the selfie king because we get this giant camera sensor, 3 cameras that flips right over to you. So you don't have to use an inferior selfie camera when you buy this phone. And a lot of you have told me like, it's a Zenfone. It's not even close to the quality of the Note 20 Ultra. And I really don't know what everyone is complaining about. This is a great camera. I've not gotten selfies as good as on this phone. Here, take a look at this. I took this in my room yesterday. Look at the detail on my face. And it does a good job of the background as well. It looks like I used one of those monochrome effects, but I assure you I did not. This is a picture I took of my dog yesterday. Just look at that detail. I mean, sure, it's not the best camera you can get, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ranks up there in like the top 5 at least. And right now I'm recording 4K 60 with the wide angle camera. I mean, look a little soft there. But I'm gonna show you some pictures and video I took outside. I'm recording 4K 60 with the wide angle camera. Look a little soft there. But I'm gonna show you some pictures and video I took outside. 4K60 on the Zenfone 7 Pro. Rear camera. Well, I mean, it's both the same cameras. So it's kind of funny to say that, but yeah, video looks nice and crispy as you would on any other phone. Like going down here, you can see. Doesn't want to focus on that flower. What about? Okay. And the camera's flipping over to me, and 4K60 on like basically the same camera, so you're gonna get extremely high quality video on both the front and the back, as you know the camera flips. It's just kind of tricky to keep yourself centered because you gotta tilt the phone a bit to the sides as the camera's sticking out, but other than that, looks good. Does this mean I can record 8K with the front camera as well? Right, so I'm recording 8K selfie video right now. I mean, of course it's compressed to 4K due to the like editing, all that, but yeah, I'm recording myself. Like, this is selfie video. I'm not using the rear camera because it flips. I just love seeing that. 4K60 on the Zenfone 7 Pro. It is nighttime. Not completely pitch black, but close enough. The video isn't too grainy, and I like that. So, yeah. Also, rest assured, this is just as durable as it was on the Zenfone 6. Let's just see if you move it around. There's no gear grinding. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you do that on a regular basis, but for the most part, it doesn't seem to affect the phone negatively at all when I do that. We can of course move it with the volume up and down buttons. If you want to do a panorama, this part moves all by itself. So all you have to do is keep the phone steady, does the panorama for you, which is a great feature. Also over here, we can do it in different angles. And if you hold here, you can change the speed of which the camera rotates. You can do it really slowly if you want, like this. So a lot of thought has gone into this flip mechanism, that's for sure. We have a notification LED, but it's here on the bottom, and I thought this was gonna be bad, but it turns out to be useful because normally my phone's up here on the table, I'm sitting down, I get a message, I can see it flashing. So you'd think this is a bad placement, but it's really not. That's how we get a message over here. If the always on display is on, of course. This is in WhatsApp display. As you can see, it stays. I can mark it as read from the always on display, which is pretty cool. This is how it looks like. I've seen it only in this color, but this is the color when you get notifications. And when the battery is low, it's gonna flash red. The call quality is decent. I mean, just like any other phone. The only problem I had, like, I don't know if it's just me or other people, but when someone would call me, they wouldn't be able to hear me at all. I would sound very muttered. My voice would be quiet on their end. And the problem would fix itself like after like 30 seconds, maybe even a minute. And I found that to be pretty weird. I mean, no other phone has done that for me. Anyway, I hope they fix that in an update or something. I don't know. So yeah, should you get this phone? I mean, yeah, this phone is awesome. You can buy it, show it off to your friends. You just gotta make sure it has the correct bands and everything. I know in the United States, it's missing a certain band and they can't use it. But in my country, it's perfectly fine. This phone is mostly for enthusiasts who want a cool phone like me. But I mean, I think average consumers can pick this up too and be happy with it. I mean, it's an overall solid device. I also want to add that I think $950, even though it's cheaper than its competitors, you know, Samsung, Apple, etc., I think that it's too expensive anyway for what we get. I mean, I know that flip mechanism couldn't be cheap, but for the most part, we have pretty Standard specs for a flagship, you know, vibration motor isn't the greatest. The display isn't Samsung level. Don't get me wrong, it's close, but it's not in their level. Also, we get 90 hertz instead of 120. You know, it's all these tiny things that add up. And, you know, I think 850 would have been a good price. Or 900 at the very least. And I think it's... So we pretty much have Qualcomm to blame for it being at 950 because of their 5G modems and their monopoly over the Android chipsets. And it sucks, but the good news is that it's not going to last. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'm going to keep this phone, so hopefully I can answer you. So I will see you in the next video. Peace.